feel free to jump in. I know we've heard a lot about elections with the Secretary of State's office, but also the business division, Department of Commerce. Can you just give us an update, what's going on or what goes on in the business division?
So the Department of Commerce is under the governor, but the business division is under the Secretary of State. And I'm really excited about this, so I'm glad somebody asked this question. All anybody wants to talk about is elections, which I'm passionate about, but there's some other stuff I want to do as Secretary of State. This is something I can't do as Chair of the Elections Committee, so I probably should have just said this. So when me and I told you we got restaurants. At the height of COVID, we had 4. We're back down to 2 because I couldn't find anybody to work, but we're about to go back up to 3. But we started out in this little 19-seat place in Leavenworth, about 5 blocks from the front gate of Fort Leavenworth. The way we got in the restaurant business is we were moving from Fort Irwin, California to Fort Leavenworth, and I sent my wife ahead to find a house. And after 3 days, she called and said, "Hey, I found a restaurant." And that's how I ended up in the restaurant business. She had worked in restaurants her whole life. And thank God she had worked in restaurants her whole life and knew how to run a restaurant, because otherwise we would have been in real trouble. But neither one of us knew how to start a business. I was an Army captain at that point, brand new major at that point, and my wife had worked in restaurants that were already established. She'd never started a restaurant. And of course, hey Pat, figure it out. So, yes ma'am. So I kind of did the obvious things, right? I'm like, okay, well, we were going to have to call this business something. So I went to the Secretary of State's website, and they've got the little window where you can type the name of a corporation, and it wasn't taken. So I claimed it for the Proctors, and Bontai Restaurant was born. And then I'm like, okay, I think we have to pay somebody taxes. So I looked up on the IRS website, I found the EIN thing, and I filed for an EIN, so I could pay taxes. I'm like, okay, I think I also have to pay taxes in the state. So I looked up, I clicked all over the internet, and I found where you get the sales tax ID so I could pay sales taxes. And I'm like, okay, we're serving food. I think somebody makes you get a license to serve food. So I clicked around some more. This is 2006, so Google wasn't quite what it is now. But I found the Department of Agriculture where you get the food service license. I'm like, we're ready to go. So I went to my wife, we're ready to go. And she threw open the doors, and instant success. My wife's an amazing cook. And the place was packed all the time, and then we moved to a bigger place. But right after we opened, I started getting all these letters. And they're from state agencies. And like, hey, you didn't do this. Here's your fine, now do it. And just a bunch of them, like things I never thought of, because I'm an Army major, not a lawyer, restaurant owner. I am now, but so that always stuck with me. That always really, that's a kind of a learning moment for me. I'm of the mind that if the government's going to make you do something, it's the government's job to make sure you know that you've got to do something. And that always stuck with me. And so I think the business division is where we do that. Because even stupid Major Proctor knew that the first thing I had to do was name my restaurant, and I went to the business division website to make sure the corporation name wasn't taken and took it. So, first of all, in that division, wouldn't it be amazing if there was 1 or 2 people in that office who'd ever started or run a business? So if you had a question, they can't give you legal advice, but they can say, hey, have you talked to this person or have you talked to that person? They could pick up the phone and they could talk to you. Instead of, hey, go to the website and fill in the name, right? And then click all over the internet. The other thing's a little more ambitious. So on that page where you type in Bontai Restaurant or whatever kind of company you want to start, I want to put another little window. And that other window is going to have a prompt that says, what kind of business do you want to start and where do you want to start it? And you put restaurant in Leavenworth, or you put feedlot in Garden City, or you put grocery store in Salina, or whatever it is you're going to start. And then an AI backend goes out, looks at the federal regulations, the state regulations, and your city ordinances, and spits out, this is all the crap you got to do. with links. This is, you gotta fill out this form, you gotta fill out this form, you gotta fill out this form. And then these are all the regulations that you gotta follow, right? People smarter than Major Proctor hire lawyers to do that. And no offense to any lawyers in the room, but I want to put you out of business. I think that this is a trivial thing for the government to do that we sort of owe you because we're telling you to do things. We should help you figure out what those things are you got to do. Once I've got that up and running, I want to go back to the legislature and I want to get a law passed that says if that website doesn't tell you you have to do it, we can't charge you. I'd like it to say you don't have to do it, but once in a great while, a regulation is a good idea, right? But I don't think we should be able to fine you if we didn't tell you you have to do it. And so I want to lower all the hurdles to starting a business. I want that business division to be an entrepreneurship engine, and so I'm excited about that part of the job too.